£44 million. £50 million. That's the tax the taxman quietly took from ordinary people and had to hand back in just 3 months of this year. The quarter before, 44 million. This quarter, over 50. It goes up every 3 months, and it has done for a decade. Since 2015, over £1.6 billion has been taken in error from people doing one ordinary thing: taking money out of their own pension for the first time. And here's the part that should bother you. Almost none of them were told it would happen. Nobody wrote to warn them, not their pension provider, not the taxman, not the old employer whose scheme it was. It isn't hidden, it's just never explained. And there's a date coming that makes all of this urgent. The 6th of April 2028, when the rules on when you can even reach your pension change for good. More on that as the fourth trap. But mark the date now. Now, I know how a video like this sounds. Another title built to worry you. So let me be straight from the start. I'm not telling you the taxman is hiding a secret. I'm not selling anything, and there's nothing to click at the end. What I've got is 4 traps. 4 things that quietly go wrong when people unlock a pension at 55, and every one of them is the kind of thing you only find out about afterwards, when it's already happened, and often too late to undo. I've sat with careful, sensible people who walked into all 4. Not because they were careless, because nobody ever explained how it actually works, and they get worse as they go. The first surprises almost everybody. The second is that £1.6 billion. The third can never be reversed once you trigger it. And the fourth has a date stamped on it, the 6th of April 2028, after which, for 2 full years, the door is shut. Stay for the second one especially. It's the one that bothers me most. And it's very probably money that's already sitting in the taxman's account with your name on it. And before we go on, if you know someone in their 50s with a pension they're thinking of touching, send them this now, before they do. It is far easier to avoid these before the withdrawal than to fix them after. So make a cup of tea. 4 traps. Let's take them in order. Let's start with the one almost everyone gets wrong, because it's the one everyone thinks they've got right. You've heard it 100 times. You can take 25% of your pension tax-free. True, as far as it goes. The trouble is what people hear. They hear, I can take a big lump out, and most of it won't be taxed. And that's where it quietly falls apart. Here's how it actually works. When you take money from a pension pot, you can take a quarter, 25%, completely free of income tax. That part is genuinely yours, clean, good. But the other 75% is taxable, every pound of it, treated as income, taxed exactly like a wage. And here's the bit that catches people. That taxable money doesn't sit quietly in its own box. When the taxman works out what you owe, it's stacked on top of everything else you earned that year. Your wages, your state pension if it started, any rental income, any other pension. The withdrawal lands on top of the pile, and the top of the pile is taxed hardest. Let me show you, because the numbers matter. A man of 56, still working part-time, earning around £30,000 a year. Pot of £200,000. He wants £50,000 out to clear the mortgage. Sensible enough. 25% of that £50,000, £12,500, comes out tax-free. Lovely. But the remaining £37,500 is taxable income. Pile it on the £30,000 he already earns, and his income for the year is suddenly over £67,000. A basic rate taxpayer his whole life, and in one afternoon a big slice of that withdrawal is dragged up into the 40% band. So he doesn't keep 50,000. He keeps a good deal less than he planned. And nobody warned him, because nobody told him the 25% is the start of the sum, not the end of it. It isn't hidden, it's just never explained. Not in the letter, not on the statement, not anywhere he'd look. The 25% is real. It's a quarter of the story. Believing it's the whole story, that's trap 1. Now the second. This is the one I told you to stay for, and it's the one that bothers me most, because it isn't a mistake, or a loophole, or bad luck. It's the system working exactly as built. And it's the £1.6 billion from the start of this video. Here's what happens. The first time you take taxable money from your pension, it isn't taxed the normal way. Your provider usually hasn't been given your tax code yet, so they're forced onto an emergency code. And I'll tell you plainly what that code does, because when you first hear it, it sounds made up. It takes your one-off withdrawal and pretends you'll take that same amount every single month for the rest of the year. Let that sit. You take the money once. The system taxes you as if it happens 12 times. Take 10,000 out once. The computer treats it as 10,000 landing every month. 120,000 a year as far as it's concerned. And it taxes that one withdrawal as though you were one of the highest earners in the country. The emergency code even has a name on your paperwork, 1257L, month 1. It gives you 1/12 of your tax-free allowance and taxes the rest near the top rate. Real money. Say you take 40,000. 10 is your tax-free quarter, clean. The other 30 is taxable. On that emergency code, the taxman can take 11,000–12,000 of it. But if that was your only real income that year, your correct bill is far lower, 3,000–4,000. So he's taken roughly 3 times what you owed, £7,000–8,000 of your money sitting in his account instead of yours. Now let me show you what that does to 2 real lives, because the figure doesn't land until you see it side by side. 2 men, same age, 55, same pot. Both take the same 40,000 out in the same month for the same reason. The first one, before he touches it, makes one phone call. He rings his provider and asks what tax code they'll use. They sort the right code with the taxman first. His 40,000 is taxed correctly from the off. He keeps what he should. The money's in his account inside a week. Right amount, done. The second man doesn't make the call. He just takes it. Emergency code. The taxman deducts around 11,000. He notices but assumes that's simply what tax is now. He never fills in the form. That 7,000 or 8,000 of overpaid tax? It never comes back. Not because he wasn't owed it, because nobody told him to ask, and he didn't know there was a form. Same age, same pot, same withdrawal. One phone call apart and thousands of pounds apart. For good. Because it isn't hidden. It's just never explained, and the letter that would explain it is never going to arrive. The taxman knows to the penny what he overcharged. He will not write and offer it back. You have to ask. So here's exactly how to ask. 3 forms depending on your situation. Took some money but left the rest in the pot, Form P55. Emptied the whole pot, no other income this year, Form P50Z. Emptied the pot, but you do have other income, a wage or another pension, Form P53Z. P55, P50Z, P53Z, all free on gov.uk. Send the right one and you're refunded within 30 days. Fastest of all through your online personal tax account. And the tip that stops it happening at all, the first man's phone call. Before you take a penny, ring your provider and ask in these words, what tax code will you apply to this withdrawal, and can you get my correct code from HMRC before you pay it, so I'm not put on an emergency one? Some will sort it in advance. Others tell you to take one small withdrawal first, say £100, to trigger your proper code. Then you take the big sum, taxed right. That one call is the difference between the first man and the second. So that's trap 2, not a glitch, a system that quietly holds your money until you know the words to ask for it back. Well, now you know them. The third trap does the most lasting damage of all, because, unlike an overpaid bill, there's no form for this. You cannot claim it back. Once it's done, for good. So listen carefully before you touch your pension, especially if you're still working. Right now, you can put up to £60,000 a year into your pensions and still get tax relief. Your contributions, your employers, the tax relief on top, up to £60,000 a year. For someone late 50s, still earning, still building the pot in the final stretch, that's a lot of room in the years that matter most. Here's the trap. The moment you take any taxable income from your pension, any amount, even a few £100s beyond your tax-free cash, that £60,000 allowance doesn't dip, it collapses to £10,000 a year, and it stays there for the rest of your working life. It has a name, the Money Purchase Annual Allowance. Forget the name, the word that matters is permanent. No form, no phone call, no appeal puts it back. Trigger it, and your ceiling is £10,000 a year, full stop. I saw this catch people again and again, dozens, still working, mid to late 50s, employer paying in every month. Something came up, a bill, a car, a gap between jobs. Felt manageable. So they took a few thousand from a pension to bridge it. They'd no idea what they'd done. From that moment, everything going in, theirs and the employer's together, was measured against 10,000, not 60. Some sailed straight past the new limit without a clue, and in every case it could not be undone. Here's what protects you, and it's simpler than the trap. Taking only your 25% tax-free cash, leaving the rest untouched, does not trigger this. Take the tax-free lump, leave the other 75% invested, and your £60,000 allowance is safe. The tripwire is pulling out taxable income. That, and only that, sets it off. So if you're still working, still paying in, still counting on your employer's contributions, ask yourself before you take £1 of taxable money, what am I giving up, permanently, to get at this now? And is there another way to bridge this that doesn't cost me my allowance for life? Ask it before. There is no asking it after. And once again, it isn't hidden, it's just never explained. And the letter that would explain it is never going to arrive. So that's trap 3. The fourth trap is different because it has a date on it, a specific day coming after which the rules change. And I'd wager it's the part you'll still be thinking about tomorrow. Almost everyone approaching 55 assumes 55 is the floor, the earliest you can reach your private pension. Right now, today, for most people, it is. But on the 6th of April, 2028, that floor rises. The minimum pension age goes from 55 to 57. Not a rumour, not a proposal, law. For years, sitting quietly on the books. And in all my time with people about their pensions, I could count on one hand those who walked in already knowing it was coming. Where you stand depends on your date of birth, so listen for your own. Born before the 6th of April 1971, you'll already be 57 or older when this lands. Nothing changes, you're clear. Born on or after the 6th of April 1973, your minimum age is 57, full stop. Plan around it now, not the week before. But there's a group caught right in the doorway, and I want to speak to them directly. Anyone born between the 6th of April 1971 and the 5th of April 1973. You'll be 55 or 56 on the day the rules change, right in the door, as it closes. Here's what the rules say for that middle group. If you've already started taking your pension before the 6th of April 2028, actually begun drawing an income, opened a drawdown, taken that first taxable payment, you carry straight on afterwards. But if you haven't started by then, the door shuts, and you cannot begin anything new until you reach 57. So if you've told yourself you'll sort your pension at 55 when it feels right, the window may be far narrower than you think. Once it closes, it does not reopen for 2 whole years. For someone in that middle band, a few months early versus a few months late is the difference between reaching your money at 55 and waiting until 57. 2 exceptions, so you've the full picture. Armed forces, police, fire service, this increase generally doesn't apply. Those schemes keep a lower age. And some older schemes carry a protected pension age written in years ago, which can sit below 57. So ask your own scheme directly, do I have a protected pension age, and if I do, what is it? For the right person, that one question is worth 2 years of access to their own money. So that's Trap 4, the 6th of April 2028. Write it down. Now I'll slow right down. Because if I sent you off thinking the lesson is get at your pension as soon as you can at 55, I'd have done you real harm. For a great many people, unlocking a pension at 55 is one of the most expensive mistakes they'll ever make. So let me be as honest about the don't as the how. 5 situations where you should stop and think hard. 1. Just because you can at 55 doesn't mean you should. Money left inside grows, sheltered from tax. Pull it early and it stops growing in that shelter, and a chunk can be taxed on the way out. A pot you start draining at 55 may have to last 35 years. That's a very long time to stretch. 2. Don't take it out and park it in a savings account to be safe. Inside the pension it grows sheltered. In a savings account, the interest can be taxed and inflation eats it year on year. Safe feeling is not the same as safe. 3. Think hard before using a pension to clear debts that aren't urgent, or to help the children early, or to buy the thing you've promised yourself. The pound you take at 55, plus all its growth, is the pound that won't be there in your 70s, when you may need it far more, and have no way left to earn it back. 4. Taking taxable income touches more than your tax bill. It can push you into a higher band for the year. It can trigger that permanent allowance drop. And if you ever rely on means-tested support, a large sum in your bank account can affect what you're entitled to. One withdrawal can hit 3 or 4 things at once. 5. If you've a defined benefit or final salary pension, the kind that pays a guaranteed income for life, think very hard indeed before touching it or transferring out. For most people with one of those, it's the best thing they own, and giving up that guarantee is usually a mistake you can't take back. And here's the fresh number to end on, because it cuts both ways. Remember that average refund, around £4,000 a person, that 12,500 people had to reclaim in a single quarter. Money they overpaid and had to fight to get back. Do it right, in the correct order, and that £4,000 never leaves your pocket in the first place. The people who plan the withdrawal keep it. The people who rush it lend it to the taxman for a year, if they remember to ask for it back at all. So, 4 traps. The 25% people mistake for the whole story when it's a quarter, and the rest stacks on your income and gets taxed. The emergency code that's cost ordinary savers over £1.6 billion, money that only comes back if you know to ask. The allowance that collapses from 60,000 to 10,000 the moment you take taxable income and never recovers. And a date, the 6th of April 2028, a whole generation has either never heard of or never taken seriously. And the thread through all 4 is the same. It isn't hidden. It isn't small print laid to trap you. It's just never explained. Not in the letter your provider sends, not on your annual statement, not anywhere you'd look. And the letter that would explain it is never going to arrive. You find out at the moment you ring up to take the money. By which point, for some of these, the choice has already been made for you. So if you're near this decision, 3 things before you touch a penny. First, find every pension you've got, including old ones from jobs long behind you. There's a free government pension tracing service that finds them from nothing but an old employer's name. Second, before you settle on an amount, ring your provider and say this, word for word. Before I take anything, what tax code will you apply, and can you get my correct code from HMRC first, so I'm not on an emergency one? That one sentence can save you the £4,000. Third, if you're still working and still paying into a pension, understand that permanent allowance drop before you take a single pound of taxable income. Ask what you'd lose. It cannot be undone after. You came in believing 2 things about 55. That you can finally reach the money, and that most of it comes out tax-free. The first is true, and getting truer. The second, needed a longer conversation. Now you've had it. The people who deal with this well before that April 2028 date won't be cleverer than anyone else watching. They'll simply be the ones who knew there was a date. Tell me in the comments, did you know the minimum pension age was rising to 57 before today? Just yes or no. I read every one, and the things you say you'd never heard of are what become the next videos. Look after yourselves.